Good afternoon. Bonjour à tous. Je suis très heureux d'être ici aujourd'hui avec mes collègues et des fiers Terre-Neuviens et Labradoriens pour une annonce importante. Importante pour le futur de ma province et de Canada Atlantique. Gudie and I are so proud today. Proud to welcome Sean and Rich, Kathy, Thomas Lee, Chief Michelle Joe, Chief Jenny Brake. Joanne's here as well. Joanne's top, there we are. They are here, many of these people behind me, representing a booming and lucrative industry, wind and hydrogen. Wind and hydrogen present a very real opportunity for us because the world is looking for renewable energy. That is a fact, and the markets are going that way, and the money is going that way. The energy transition is happening. It is happening. Right now, in my province, companies are deciding where to invest, where to build. Lord knows Newfoundland and Labrador has the wind. And we can produce, through that, the clean hydrogen that the world is now rushing to get. So we are making sure that this industry is given the proper footing that it needs, starting in St. George's Bay, Newfoundland. World Energy, GH2, and Export Development Canada, EDC, they've signed an agreement for a $128 million credit facility to support this development. It is a project called Nugiohonik. The project will build Canada's first commercial green hydrogen ammonia facility. This is huge. It means 1,100 jobs in construction, 100 jobs to operate the facility, and we are projecting another 1,300 jobs indirectly. Several wind farms, one in Port-au-Port, one in the Codroy Valley, are going to produce over 3 gigawatts of clean power to deliver approximately 250,000 tons of hydrogen a year. And it'll be Newfoundlanders and Labradorians who are exporting that hydrogen to the world and taking home those profits. So we're here today because the team at World Energy GH2 is in a hurry. We need to get this project off the ground and signal to the world we are in the green hydrogen game now. That's the urgency that you need to have in this industry. It's why we can't afford to play politics around this. You've heard me up here before. We got to stay in a global race. We got to pull ahead. We got to be rowing in the same direction. Today is exactly why we need to pass Bill C-49 as fast as possible. Investors are watching. We need government backing this industry. We need a strong regulatory framework to attract investment. I often tell the story, Gudie's sick of me saying it, but anyway, I'll just never forget being at Stephenville Airport 2 years ago when we were debating the viability of this industry. Could we make hydrogen from wind? Could we export it around the world? And then the German Chancellor's plane landed at Stephenville Airport with the German Chancellor and the CEOs of every major German corporation, from Mercedes-Benz to Siemens, to say, yeah, you can. Yeah, you can do this. Stephenville can do it. Newfoundland can do it. Canada can do it. Pattern Energy is right now in Argentia. Exploits Valley, right now, renewables, they're in Exploits Valley out of Baldwin. With this investment in World Energy GH2 and our recent support for Everwind Fuels Green Hydrogen and Clean Energy Hub in Nova Scotia, we are going to give workers and businesses a head start on hydrogen. Le projet de loi C-49 est crucial pour le futur de ces projets. On doit adopter cette loi. Le temps presse. This is a big day. It is a big day for renewables. It is a big day for Newfoundland and Labrador, for Atlantic Canada, for all of Canada. We are in this game. Thank you. Merci. And over to you, Gudie.
Thanks, James. Look, thanks everybody for coming here today. Friends, especially Chief Joe, Chief Jenny, our friends at World Energy. I want to tell you a couple of stories about why these projects are so real. Last fall, I was driving down to the south part of my riding, and there was a rally in support of this very project but it was all organized by local community members and local businesses. Thousands of people turned out for that rally. There was one little girl that comes to mind. Many of you picked it up in the media story. She was probably 5 or 6 years old, and she'd probably gone to the dollar store and she bought a piece of blue Bristol board, and she said, "I want my dad to work home." That blue sign said it all, everyone, and it hit everyone hard. And that rally was supported by small businesses, big businesses, Indigenous communities, everyday people, because they see the potential for this. But you know, Seamus and I and Joanne, we travel back and forth all the time. And you know who else flies back and forth from rural parts of Canada, and especially our home province of Newfoundland and Labrador? It's rotational workers, like that little girl's dad. So it's women and men heading from Newfoundland and Labrador all over the world. So I'll always chat to them. And 99 times out of 100, they'll say, "Gudie, that project out in Port-au-Port, do you think that's going to come? Do you think that other one I read about, do you think that's going to come? I wish there was a way that I could come home to have good, stable work at home." Well, now there is. As Seamus said, 1.5 years ago in Stephenville, we signed the Canada-German Hydrogen Alliance. And that deal will see Canadian companies export clean, renewable hydrogen to Germany. And it's going to create good-paying jobs. I can't say that enough, my friends. It's going to create good-paying jobs. The German Chancellor, when we were having a chat just before we made the announcement, he said, "So where are all the workers coming from?" And I said, "Sir, we have incredible workers in Newfoundland and Labrador. They just want to come home and work." So if you're a pipe fitter, a plumber, a carpenter, a construction worker, an engineer, and frankly, the workers of the future, there's a job now at home for you. But however, to export the clean energy, it means we've got to produce and deliver energy here at home. And the good news is, at home in Newfoundland and Labrador and across Atlantic Canada, we've got the people and we have the resources. As Seamus says, we have record-setting winds that blow all the time. I don't know if you've seen our Newfoundland ads. It's always quilts blowing on the line, on the clothesline. That's because we always have wind. And not only the wind, we've got the workers who want to harness that wind. On the island of Newfoundland, as Seamus said, there are wind hydrogen projects from east to west, just waiting to get started. And our government, in renegotiating the Atlantic Accord to enable the development of offshore renewable energy the world wants and the world needs, we will get it done. Friends, the offshore wind industry will be worth $1 trillion. $1 trillion by 2040, and it's going to create thousands of jobs in Atlantic Canada. As Seamus said, World Energy's project alone is going to make a huge impact for jobs. Those jobs are going to secure our province's economy for the next generation, and they're supported by all provincial governments of Newfoundland and Labrador and Nova Scotia as well. But you know, Pierre Poilievre and his Conservatives, they're delaying the process. As Seamus said, they're trying to block these job-creating investments. That's why I am so proud to stand here today with my colleagues and people who want to make sure that folks at home can tuck their kids at night in bed at home. These are all people who believe in the future of the province as much as I do. The wind is in our sails, my friend. The wind is in our sails in a good way. So I'm now going to turn it over to Sean from World Energy to say a few words. And thanks for coming today.
Thank you, Minister. A big thank you to Minister O'Regan, Minister Hutchings, MP Joanne Thompson, and their teams for participating in this announcement. Many thanks to Minister Ng and the team at Export Development Canada for their collaboration. I'd like to recognize the attendance of Chief Jenny Brake of the Halibut First Nation, here joining us on this special occasion. We're proud to have the Halibut First Nation as partners in Project Nujihanic, and very pleased you can be here today. Chief Meisel Joe, traditional chief of the Miabukek First Nation and a strategic advisor on our project, is here as well. Thank you, Chief, for joining us on this important occasion. And I'd also like to acknowledge Thomas Lee, the VP of Investor Relations with SK Ecoplant, an important partner in Project Nujihanic. This agreement is the first of its kind and a signature moment for green hydrogen development in Canada. Project Nujihanic is the first green hydrogen project to close an agreement with the Government of Canada for a credit facility. This is a testament to the federal government's belief and support in our project and the green hydrogen industry. We are tremendously grateful for the significant support from the Government of Canada. We recognize the hard work that has been done and continues to be done in advancing Canada as a leader in the fight against climate change. The ITC coverage that is being implemented, contracts for differences that continue to be developed, Bill C-49 paving the way for the development of the offshore wind industry in Atlantic Canada, and now this important commitment are all clear messages to the world. While we need to continue to move quickly, this body of work represents remarkable progress by our federal government. Thank you. The Government of Canada is also taking important steps to carry out the plans that were initiated at the signing of the Canada-Germany Hydrogen Alliance that Minister O'Regan had mentioned in his speech. We are proud to be part of these ongoing discussions and are fully committed to doing our part to help stand up the new green hydrogen industry without delay. To achieve net zero targets and slow the pace of climate change, we must be bold, ambitious, and embrace energy transition initiatives such as green hydrogen. Over the past 2 years, together with all of industry stakeholders, we've driven and witnessed a great deal of change. In 2022, the partners in World Energy GH2 made a bold decision to invest, move quickly, and take a leadership position in the fight against climate change. I'll take a minute to share a bit about how we came from that decision to where we are today. In June 2022, we submitted our environmental registration to the Government of Newfoundland and Labrador. In August, the Canada-Germany Hydrogen Alliance, as mentioned previously, was signed at our project site in Stephenville, Newfoundland and Labrador. This was a remarkable occasion, attended by the German Chancellor and the German Vice Chancellor, plus our Prime Minister and members of Parliament. In September, we signed MOUs with Alibu First Nation and the town of Stephenville. Later that fall, in November, we launched our wind measurement campaign to verify the wind resource. In March 2023, we submitted our Crown Lands bid. In May, SK Ecoplant invested $50 million in our project. In June, we acquired the Port of Stephenville, a remarkable asset with unique features that support green hydrogen production that is globally competitive. In July, we completed pre-FEED, the important initial stage of engineering for the project. The following month, in August, we submitted our environmental impact statement to the province. That same month, we received the results from the Crown Land bidding process, securing 108,000 hectares of Crown land for the project. This represents 4 different wind farm locations, totaling 4 gigawatts of buildable wind farm area, a world-class project by anyone's measurement. In December, we achieved 1 year of physical wind data from our first site, which is significant for the advancement of our equipment selection and FEED planning. Last month, we became the first North American member of the Energy Hub of the Port of Wilhelmshaven in Germany. We also submitted an amendment to our environmental impact statement. We're now awaiting the Provincial Environment Minister's decision due on April 9th. Chief Michel Joe recently joined us, adding important perspective to our team through his depth of knowledge and experience. We are committed to building a project that the community and our country will be proud of 7 generations from now. And today, we've signed the first definitive agreement with EDC and the Government of Canada for a $128 million credit facility. This credit facility will help finance the build-out of clean power generation and clean hydrogen production that will advance Canada's global decarbonization efforts. The agreement demonstrates Canada's continuing material support for renewable energy to be generated and exported to markets in Germany, Europe, and around the world, as well as for domestic consumption. By consistently achieving de-risk milestones, we've confirmed that Project Nujihonok is the leading commercial-scale green hydrogen project in Canada and one of the most advanced globally. The commitment from the federal government reflects the confidence we've built in Project Nujihonok, both here in Canada and internationally. This project will surpass the highest global standards for emissions and sustainability, will deliver against Europe's ambitious targets for clean hydrogen, and will soon lead to important new green industries being co-located at our project site in Stephenville, with the ultimate goal of adding value to the energy before it leaves our country. Our colleagues at EDC, the Government of Canada, and the Government of Newfoundland and Labrador have helped make this inaugural agreement a defining moment for Canada and our province. Our deepest thanks to the Government of Canada, EDC, Minister Ng, Minister O'Regan, Minister Hutchings, for their support in helping launch the green hydrogen industry in Newfoundland and Labrador, and for clearly moving Canada forward as a leader in the global energy transition. Thank you.
questions.
Yeah, my first question is actually for you. I'm wondering if you could talk about the timelines for delivering the project or getting it to completion. When that agreement was signed in Stephenville, the hope was that hydrogen can start flowing by 2025, which is now only a year away. Is there any chance that that deadline is going to be met?
It'll be difficult to achieve first shipment by 2025, but we're working hard to fulfill the agreement, the requirements under the agreement. Right now, we're determining if the infrastructure, when the infrastructure on the offtake side will be ready, and that will determine ultimately when we'll be able to ship, and we'll align our schedule according to that.
But you don't have any sort of more closer timeline on when that actually construction might start happening or be completed?
That's something we're continually working on and iterating as we work up to FEED.
Is any part of this project contingent on C-49 passing? I understand, the connection there, but can you kind of explain, both yourself and Mr. referenced this bill. Is anything contingent on this?
So this project is onshore, and what we're talking about with 49 is offshore. Onshore, so the provincial government right now is going through environmental assessments with the company, and they're the ones responsible. The issue with the offshore, going way back to Supreme Court decisions in the 1980s, was who's responsible there, and we came to an agreement under the Atlantic Accord that it would be jointly managed. We have reached agreements with the province that says, look, once we get offshore and when we're getting into the bays, the various bays of the island of Newfoundland, where a number of other companies are looking, we're working with the province on that, so it's like single pay or single process. But these guys, they are doing onshore, so it's purely provincial.
C-49 then?
Because business needs stability. They need to know what they're doing, right? And so this is just the beginning of it. Like right now we're talking onshore. Offshore has huge potential. A number of companies already looking at offshore, but they're holding back because they want to know what the regulatory structure is. If they know it's the Atlantic Accord for a number of these energy players, well, then they know what the rules are, right? And they know who the players are, and they know what they're getting into. If we don't do it under the Atlantic Accord, then we got to recreate something. Which, back to me, is that question about time. These guys are under the gun as it is because they are competing globally, both with customers and competing companies. And we don't have time to waste. We got something for the offshore. That works. It works beautifully, actually. It's not perfect, but for the better part, it works. And it allows the province and ourselves to jointly manage a resource. We just want rules. Everybody just wants to know. One thing I've learned in my time as a minister dealing with businesses is what matters most to them actually is stability and certainty. And I have never forgotten that in every portfolio I've held. Actually, people like those things too.
St. John's have sent us 3 questions, which I'd like to run through with you briefly.
Who's in?
Colleagues,
colleagues
in St.
yeah, sure.
John's.
There we go.
Okay.
In town.
All right. First of all, is the loan conditional on environmental approval of the project?
Do you want to get into that? No. I mean, no, this is a $128 million credit facility completely on its own.
So if the company defaults or the project, what happens if the company defaults or the project doesn't go ahead because things happen in Atlantic Canada?
Well, yeah, we'll deal with that when it happens. I mean, the nice thing about dealing with a trusted partner like EDC is the agreements that they reach, particularly proponents like this, that's all baked in.
And repayment. Every loan has a repayment schedule. What's the deal with that? What's the timeline?
It's a credit facility. I don't know, Sean, if you want to answer any questions on it, but I would just say for the most part, look, the reason why we wanted to go through EDC is it's a proponent, or it's a facility that most investors know, that we know, and that taxpayers can stand by. It's got the checks in place, so when stuff happens, we know what to do. I don't know if you want to add anything to it, Sean. Come to the mic.
Yeah, it's a credit facility, as mentioned, that EDC has agreed with us. There's typical conditions precedent and covenants that you would find in any type of credit agreement of that nature, and of course there's a repayment schedule. I don't have the details on the top of my head.
Forgive me, just for, again, people back in Newfoundland and Labrador, credit facility, these are accounting terms that are not necessarily used on Water Street or elsewhere, so could you put it into real people speak?
It's essentially a loan agreement.
But I would just add to it, the nice thing about a credit facility, excuse me, Sean, is that it means that if there's more required, they don't have to keep coming back to us. right? It's like, okay, we've reached this agreement on a max. If there's more that has to be required at any certain stage of development, we don't have to go through it all again because this facility exists. So it's just getting rid of some red tape.
The original project, if I remember right, was supposed to be about a $5 billion project. Is that number still in existence, and what is this credit facility sort of needed for within that?
Yeah, so phase one of the project, there's multiple phases to it, but we're focused on phase one currently, and that is in the $5 billion range still. We continue to iterate on schedule and on our cost estimate as we work up to the start of FEED, which is coming very shortly. So these are important days from the perspective of that question.
And what did you need the credit facility for, though, within that $5 billion? Is it going towards any specific part of this project?
Yeah, that helps to support the development expenses.
Just ask you about the investment environment here in Canada versus the U.S. The U.S. is pumping lots of money into clean technology, such as what you're proposing here. How does it fare to you when you look at what's happening on the other side of the border and what's happening here? Which environment do you favor?
Well, the U.S. has a different type of credit for hydrogen production. It's a production tax credit, and that's still being drafted. The final terms of that have not been released. So the U.S., they're still waiting to determine how quickly they can move these projects forward based on that support from the federal government. So we have to continue to move quickly. The release of that is fairly imminent. But what the federal government here has done with the investment tax credit and what we're working on with developing the contracts for differences and this support with our development expenses is huge. It allows us to keep pace, maybe even be ahead of the U.S. at present.
Which one do you find more attractive? I mean, obviously you're in Canada. Do you find something more attractive here? Or
Canada.
Why is that?
For the reasons I stated. I mean, we've got the mechanisms in place to support the development of the hydrogen production as quickly as possible and becoming one of the global leaders.
The ITC for hydrogen, has that been rolled out yet, or we're still trying to?
It's in the final stages of being rolled out.
People have griped about that. You seem to be okay with the fact that?
We're extremely pleased with the ITC and the support that it's providing the hydrogen industry.
Yeah, I was just saying on the ITC, we're just trying to get it right. So, this is kind of a first time that we've done something like this. So we just want to make sure that we get it right. But we also, we also know the urgency of it because there are projects that are getting built and there are major competitors like the United States that we're going to catch up with.
When do you think we'll get it right?
Oh, I'll leave that to the Deputy Prime Minister, but I think, there's an urgency to this. We all know that, right? These are really important industries. We want to get them built. So, yeah, we know the urgency of it. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.